perspectives on sustainable diets. What we eat and how we produce the food have significant effects on human health and the sustainability of our planet. Well, I didn't know we got effect on the sustainability of the planet.
Of course.
But that's a bit deep to put on me though. Like you want to tell me what me and click eating. I know it started hot and I'm finished read yet, but I gotta say this. You want to tell me what me eating?
Yeah.
Got some sort of effect on the sustainability of the planet. Good evening. I know scuba miners, right? But you gotta know how important it is. So good evening, my brother, and thank you so much for coming on. But that's a bit deep though.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes.
I think we must understand that food is connected to everything. It's connected to our health, it's connected to the environment as well too. So
thank you.
So definitely food is very important. It really comes down to our farming practices as well too, and how we farm or produce food. It really dictates how the environment reacts and responds. Whether it be pest management or fertilization, if these things are done inappropriately, it can have a very negative effect on the larger environment.
Whoa, listen, what we eat and how we produce the food have significant effects on human health and sustainability of our planet. But what is a sustainable diet?
I think sustainable meaning that we can maintain in the long term. So when I think about a sustainable diet from a nutrition perspective, we look at consuming whole foods, for instance, foods that are minimally processed, and of course foods that are ideally minimally processed.
That's a good question.
Soy gypsy.
Minimally processed in the sense that a whole food, something which is not packaged. No, something which is not packaged. So as opposed to having foods which come in from the US and Europe, ideally you want to have foods which are produced locally.
Or like a yam or a
what he's trying to say in Spanish and French is that he want with the less time between being produced and getting shelf.
Farmer to the consumer.
We're talking about, but listen, this short course looks at the urgent need to address the sustainability of our food systems.
Right.
Brian, we got enough talk, but that's really deep. But this is offered by the Johns Hopkins University, not Clippanay, not Brian, not Barbados. It's offered by the Johns Hopkins University, and sorry to the Islanders, it's only free to Barbados, otherwise it's 30 to 100 US. It takes only 7 hours to complete its beginner's level, and across the board, they get a 4.8 out of 5 rating, and I wanted to review. And that's what we want to review is great course that everyone should be taking. And many things we can talk about this. There's someone say here that a course like this, everyone should be taking it. They say that only health professionals, only food nutritionists, then advice that everyone should be taking it. So we can talk about that, but it's a great course, everyone should be taking it. It really highlights the effects of food and the environment. Interesting, and what methods can we have to prevent, combat climate change. I love this course. That is a review. It says here, right, Brian, that my boy Clip got enough questions, but let me get off my first. It says here that a course like this, something like this, everyone should take it. And of course, a course like this is more informative than school. So it's basically telling you should do your research, even if you don't want to spend 3 years in a good on YouTube for 6 hours. Let me go look at some videos on YouTube. Go on NTI.org.bb. Because it's free on NTI, and just look at it. You know what I mean? What do you think after taking a course like this, someone would say, listen, you see me? I feel this and everybody should do.
I think the challenges is that I think we in Barbados and possibly the wider region too, we have this disconnect between what we eat and where the food really comes from.
Yeah.
So that's a big issue. I think sometimes people assume that the food just comes from the supermarket.
You never even studied that. Sorry, go ahead.
So this idea of from farm to fork is something which is lost on many Barbadians.
Yeah.
So we don't have this appreciation for what quote unquote good food is, and our diets are primarily based on ultra processed foods which generally come in a package. So there's a huge disconnect between what we eat and what is actually good for us. Fast foods, etc.
Oh, so of course this will help you to learn where you should be eating from. Where you should be consuming your food from, where you should be getting food from, and what type of foods you should be really eating.
Type of foods and the source. And the source.
Well, and the source.
Yeah, source is very important. So Brian, listen though today, as well as Dizzy Uncle, is World Food Day, yeah? And it aims to raise awareness and take action against worldwide hunger and malnutrition. Now it also serves as a reminder for the need to ensure food security and access to nutritious foods for all. Now there are Barbadians out there who may not think that this applies in our context. But so you could share some insight as to how this applies to our nation right here and how we can contribute to local efforts to end hunger and promote food security.
Local efforts, homegrown.
I think that your point is correct.
Immediately, homegrown.
The key thing here is that we must understand is that malnutrition doesn't only mean an underweight person or a malnourished person in the traditional sense.
Right.
It really speaks to persons who may actually be consuming adequate amount of calories or adequate food, but the food lacks the appropriate nutrients, vitamins and minerals, etc. So therefore, a person may be overweight or obese, and they may still have some kind of nutrient deficiency. But when we talk about consuming whole foods and eating balanced diets, you really speak towards having a wide variety of foods, preferably foods which are produced locally, which can actually improve our health and again reduce the risk of non-communicable diseases. Something good. All right. But this week also happens to be Infection Control and Prevention Week. Yeah. So can you educate our listeners on the importance of preventing the spread of illness and infectious agents, especially as it relates to people with NCDs? And the challenge is too that persons who are living with NCDs, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and some form of cancer,
Right.
they are more at risk of developing infection or developing infectious conditions based on their potentially compromised immune system or health status.
Right.
So therefore, it's even more critical for persons like that to, of course, healthy diets, engage in adequate amounts of physical activity, and of course, reduce the stress levels as much as possible.
Keep it tight.
Reduce your stress levels today.
So mental health they important.
Yeah.
Back to mental.
That would say everything. Everything. So how we eat and what we eat got some sort of effect on the way we feel, the way we correct
The way you think, you got energy to process. Your mind is a computer too, you know.
That's interesting.
Okay.
How young do you think we should start studying things like food and nutrition?
Me personally, I think that from the time you're a child, you should really have an idea in terms of what good food is or what good nutrition is and what malnutrition is as well too. And the issue here too is that parents need to model this healthy behavior, quote unquote, because at any day, no child leaves here and goes to the supermarket to purchase anything. It really comes down to the parents. So
you know the can't model what they know.
But good point.
So we know we'll start there and come back on board.
Yeah.
Or we just start the next generation and see them quick.
That's a
Like
good
we
one.
fan for each other,
Yeah.
American children.
It's
a little church should lead them.
Yeah, it's true. A church should lead them. Today's show is food security and nutrition for all. Food security and nutrition for all. I want to. And when we come back, Brian, thank you so much. But we have so many more questions when we come back.
Across the nighttime, the city brings a sleepless eye.
This is the Midweek mindset. If you no logging on, do a move. I got Mr. Brian Payne on the inside, man.
Sweet seducing.
Snapper Uncle Sluggy Boy.
Let me out into the nighttime. Oh.
Don't forget, head over on my NTI.org.bb. My gosh, you get yourself involved. The amount of token in the US for all these weeks, man. 10,000 courses, 5,000 us.
It could fight and the place say why? Tell them that it's human nature. Why? Ain't nothing to make that away. I'm thinking why? Tell them that it's human nature. Why? Ain't nothing to make that way.
Yeah, that management.
GB boy, my gosh. Brian Payne is on the inside. Don't forget, people, if you missed it, this is the public health nutritionist on the inside with us, my deputy nutrition officer at the National Nutrition Center. What's going on, Mr. Payne, man? We back for you again. Now, listen, as a member of the NCD Commission, yeah, can you tell us what are some of the links between one's diet/nutrition and, the non-communicable diseases? Is there anything that we should or shouldn't do to decrease our risk of developing an NCD?
So diet and physical activity tends to be at the root of whether a person develops an NCD or whether they live a quote unquote healthy lifestyle. And again, it starts from very early in childhood. I think, as you can imagine, taste preference in children begins from as early as 2 years old. So therefore, if a child is exposed to unhealthy diet from very young, and even of course in the womb, it can increase their risk of developing NCDs. So a big part of it really is introducing this idea of healthy eating, adequate levels of physical activity from a very early age, so that when they get to our ages, these things are already ingrained in their psyche, and that's very important.
Now, I often hear people speaking about banning certain things at school and banning certain foods. People talk about legislation. In your opinion, can those things work, or can we legislate people into eating better?
So that's a very good question. It really comes down to removing the onus from the individual. So the idea of legislation like sugar sweetened beverage taxes or the Barbados school nutrition policy is that the idea is that you want to control the school food environment or control the wider environment to ensure that the healthy choice is made easier and the unhealthy choice is more difficult to obtain. So not that you're going to prevent persons from having treats or snacks or beverages. It really comes down to trying to encourage a person to make the healthy choice more often.
Little discipline, man. Little self-control. Little caution. You got cautions.
I think education is extremely important because we used to call a lot of things cereal that as you get older, find out it's so damaging. You know what I mean? Like, because the fact that we name it cereal, we used to call it cereal, so you know
everything that healthy.
Might think you're healthy, so like cornflakes and milk and sugar.
Frosted.
Stuff, you think cereal.
Just to give that an example, I think in Barbados we associate breakfast with particular foods. Foods that come from a can or foods that come in the fridge or got boiled. So we tend to associate those things with processed meats, etc. But breakfast could be a
fruit salad, chief.
Breakfast could be a fruit salad. Breakfast could be something healthy. So it's not only the sugar sweetened cereal or it's not only the processed meats. It could be anything.
It could be anything. Anything. Public health, preparation. A sustainable dance.
A sustainable
4.8 stars.
When people again make brain right. Cause that legislation question that came in my head. It always want to ask about that question. Because certain schools ban children and children that just go say them by them.
But the challenge there is that I think there's been a shift. So it's not that the Barbados school nutrition policy is not necessarily to stop children from consuming.
So it started already, implemented already?
Yeah, 2022. The idea of the policy is that it really tries to control the school food environment and encourages parents and teachers to model healthy behaviors. So once you leave school, you can still eat your snacks or have your beverage, but within the school setting, it's critical to kind of have that kind of sanitized environment where children have access to things like water
and hopefully knowing that do not deprive them from access to these sweet things for them to treat and limit the cravings too.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because you less they're exposed to particular things, it makes the decision much easier.
Right. Really think you might just be at school eating this, eating that, you don't eat that things when you want. You go to school and get that freedom to recently in grade school, two kids, you get one of them with two. You want you the sweet things.
Could it be how we educating the youth? Because I'm sure there'll be more fun ways to educate the youth when it comes to moving, exercising, food and nutrition.
Yeah, I think in terms of the Ministry of Education, Technology, and Vocational Training, I think the shift in terms of physical activity where it's not necessarily geared towards athletic competition, but they're introducing more lifestyle type physical activity in the curriculum. And it really comes down to kind of exposing children or exposing people to different things, and therefore they can make a choice based on what they're exposed to. But if you're not exposed to things, they actually never eat fruits and vegetables at home. And then when you go to school and you get your school meals and your school meals has vegetables on it, chances are you're not going to consume the vegetables.
Yeah, you don't eat that.
So therefore,
you wasn't brought up on that, that tea is kind of get tiny, maybe in blind moments,
Exactly.
It's correct. That tea is silly.
Exactly.
They can eat one that.
Yeah, and that happens. But the idea of exposing them to these so-called nutritious foods, it makes a huge difference in terms of whether they accept them or not.
I love that. Food and nutrition. Today's show focus is food security and nutrition for all. If you had to explain to any listeners outside what is food security and how can we all play a part in food security? If you had to break it down in layman's terms for the average listener out there listening right now, how would you? And then why this should be important for everyone?
I think food security really speaks to persons being able to kind of afford a healthy diet or healthy lifestyle. And again, it's very critical. Ideally, in the place of Barbados, where we get most of our foods coming in from, whether it be the US or Europe. When I think about food security, I think about persons producing at least some of the things that they consume locally. So as the case where you're gonna grow some herbs and spices at home, or if you're gonna grow some sweet potatoes, yams, edibles, if you have the capacity to do that, you should do it. And that way that helps to kind of stop you from having to go to the supermarket every week and purchase these things. If you can grow some okras or some like Chinese cabbage, for instance, that would definitely save quite a bit on your food bill. So that would give you a measure of food security. But so producing locally is very important. And of course, buying locally is very important as well too. And for me, there's this debate where people say eating healthy is expensive, eating unhealthy is not. But when you kind of break it down, the more you prepare your meals at home, the less money you would spend in terms of your food bill.
Yeah.
So the challenge really comes in is when a person is purchasing food, whether it be a fast food outlet or whether it be from someone selling food in a van or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
So when you control your food intake or your food environment, it makes a huge difference in terms of your health and also in terms of your finances.
Yeah, man, it will, for sure.
Food security and nutrition for all.
Where it says, got this, let me hear what this course here quick again.
NTI.org,
University.
.bb, NTI.org.bb's public health perspective on sustainable diets, and it's offered by the John Hopkins University. It takes only 7 hours to complete, and it's 7 hours to complete, and it is the beginner level. Again, why is this important to every Barbadian, and how can something like this contribute to the overall development of a nation?
I think again it's critical for us to understand how the food we eat affects our body. That's very important. And also in terms of the foods that we purchase, how it affects not only ourselves but Barbados as a wider nation. So it's very critical to have an understanding. And again, it's not rocket science. It's just basically having this simple understanding, and it allows the consumer or the person to make an educated choice.
Now, lately I've witnessed polyclinics a bit full. I live up with Black Polyclinic with no Bradford here. My children live near Mars, but so we pass polyclinics a lot and I would see them really full. So in my mind I'm telling myself the healthcare sector about strength.
Definitely. Roughly about I think 80% of the deaths which occurred are NCD related.
How much?
80%. And 80, brother. Diabetes, cardiovascular disease, these are the things that generally affect Barbadians.
80.
And 80. I think what we need to appreciate is that if we can prevent persons from getting these conditions in the first place, that makes a huge difference. And again, diet and physical activity tend to be at the root of prevention. And all a person needs to do is kind of, whether they take the course or whether they take some other course, just get moving. Avoid eating the processed foods, avoid eating the packaged foods, limit your intake of the fast foods. And those things are some key things that would help you to move towards a healthy lifestyle.
Yes, I got to salute persons like spending money outside who making it fun to exercise, they come and walk up
good sweat.
Walk up beyond bar and break a sweat, you know what I mean? Do that
But the moral of the story is that you want it to be fit, you want to burn in calories, you want the pores to open up, you want it sweating.
Yeah, so got to salute to all these
Really big yourself.
Yeah, salute everybody who's trying to make diet and exercise a fun thing so that everybody can enjoy it. Because I think it's important. You, Brian, between you and personally, you feel that at school, physical activities, you feel that we focus on that a lot less. Children run about a lot less.
And it's not only school per se, it really comes down to the home environment as well.
Yeah, people really call children run about less at home.
Yeah.
Obviously, you may come home up on a tablet.
Right, but the
Our
issue
phone,
with
so
the
you
issue
know
with the devices.
We done with the outside scrimmaging and the level of tennis and the cricket and the thing.
Yeah.
But they're going not too fast too, but if they're too big to play, say the road.
Yeah.
So less run the boat, less ain't good.
So that's a big part of it.
I think that too.
You reduce levels of physical activity.
Right.
And of course, within the school setting, academics tends to be the primary drive. But of course, there's definitely more room to increase or improve physical activity within the schools.
Yes. So you hear that, schools?
You hear that?
More movement.
Little
More
handstand and
movement.
backflip.
You know what I mean? Got the kids to go get handstand
Yeah,
competition and thing. Yeah, got a little thing.
the gymnast.
Not 20 competitions that
More backflip, bad
so
boy.
we get more football and running and cricket and basketball and
Squash,
tennis
boat,
competition
badminton.
between the hosts, encourage all the children, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Make it mandatory that all first farmers are saying go join
You know,
us.
sports day, man, just land.
Yeah.
Run past you.
Yeah,
Do a shot put, do a javelin, blah, 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 blah.
yeah,
Playing everything, sports day, not sports day,
Yeah.
water.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
In school sports, no,
Yeah.
be soccer, but in school sports,
How we can
that's a lot more
start?
fun.
How we can start with saying indigenous like road tennis. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Road tennis is ours. You know what I mean? Road tennis belongs to Barbados. It's thing that be invented. So we can start with making sure it's mandatory that every primary school must have road tennis going on.
We can make sports, yeah, sports day.
Yeah,
They play cricket, they thing, accumulate all the points, and then now we see who hosts with.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's real.
We can work on it.
Yes, NTI.
Yeah, man.
.org.
You think, Brand?
.bb. We ain't running me off yet.
Oh,
NTI still in the actual in the ambassador. NTI.org. .bb. We ain't moving here yet. Public health perspectives on sustainable diets. Today we're speaking about food security and nutrition for all. Food nutrition and security for all.
what is the day, Sluggy?
Today's word food day, but today, this week also happens to be infection control and prevention week.
Jeez, son.
You know, infection control and
Prevention to prevent.
prevention week.
Preventing is very, 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 very important.
How hard do you think it is to focus on a healthy diet? Because I know that'll be exclusive people. That too much to study. I don't think so.
Again, distracted.
No, they think, well, they can't eat this, they can't drink that, they can't use this. People want to use that excuse that it's cumbersome, but for me, it is not. So I am saying right now.
Within the Barbadian context, I think some of the key things that I would point to when I actually see patients or speak to patients more is that to reduce the intake of added sugars, reduce the intake of added salt, and also added fats in terms of fried foods and processed meats. I think by doing those very simple things, because when people think of health or eating healthy, for some reason they tend to get all confused.
Yeah.
But by making some very
Small adjustments.
it can make a huge difference. You know, again, reducing your sugar intake,
Mm-hmm.
especially in places like Barbados where sugar tends to be in everything.
Yeah.
Not only drinks, but also the
Snacks, everything.
sauce, the sauce and you put in. So sugar is in everything.
Yeah.
So if we can reduce your intake of that.
I thought we would put it on social.
So if we can reduce the intake of those sugar, sodium, and fat, it makes a huge difference in your health overall.
So those three things. So if we eat less fried things, eat less things and drink less things with sugar, we said those small adjustments alone will have a big impact on our life.
Yeah, exactly. But the challenge is, as human beings, that we assume that if we make a change today, we expect to see results tomorrow. But it doesn't work that way. So when we think of health, we need to think of health from a long-term perspective. So we think of health in your 40s or 50s or 60s. And of course, the things that you do now in your 20s, 30s, 40s, they really dictate how you age and how well you age.
I love it. NTI.org.bb have been fantastic. I want to thank you so much for coming in. Our guest, Brian Payne, and Camille Crucial, the OC with a top basketballer, a top point guard at Carver School. So everybody shout you out and tell you a great job this evening.
You got yourself.
Yes. My name
Be back again, man.
next week Wednesday,
What time?
3:35 p.m.
Oh,
Hot 95.3 FM. Internet for scale up.
I'm out.
Busy, hardworking professionals.